Hi, that's we're back here from Happy Again, Pat, and me and Joe, our Chief Tasting Officer, really gave a little extra love to our teeth because we will talk today to Dr. Emily Stein, who is the Chief Scientist and founder of TEEF, and they take care of the dental health of your pets. Now, during this time of the lockdown, many people adopted pets and are now in a position where they ask themselves, what should they do to take care of their pets? How do they feed them, and how can they prevent stuff to happen? Especially teeth is a big, big subject. Talk to any vet, they get all these problems. And as you see with Fernando, his teeth are right here that everyone sees them. So he really has to take extra care. So Emily, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about how this whole started, because I met Emily on a trade show, Super Zoo, and I was really impressed with her background and the company founded because of her science and research. And actually, her product is human grade, the same as Happy Again. I take Happy Again, and she's taking her product as well. And it all started with a human product. So tell us the personal story about teeth.
Sure. So it started, sorry, my dog is wanting to get involved.
I'm keeping him, I'm here.
Oh,
keeping him quiet.
Nice. Yeah. So I'll steal that idea. So basically, my grandmother had rheumatoid arthritis. So I was at Stanford in rheumatology, really trying to understand why she hurt so badly and trying to stop it and all other people from getting autoimmune diseases and spending the rest of their life in pain. And she was suffering silently in assisted living, and she could no longer brush her own teeth, and she got severe gum disease. And after a couple of tooth extractions, she actually had a stroke. And it turns out that's a very common story for a lot of folks, because periodontal disease is linked to so many other diseases, including cardiovascular diseases. Mm-hmm. So I came up with an approach that was super easy, super safe for her, wouldn't interfere with any of her medicines, but would really put the kibosh on the root cause of and root drivers for gum disease, which are the bacteria that behave badly. So I reached back into my doctoral work in microbiology to find easy, safe solutions to actually force bacteria to behave better. So we're using a nutrient approach to steer what they do and what they eat, so they won't secrete things that cause disease.
Fantastic. See, that's where our background is kind of similar, as I worked in research of rheumatoid arthritis too, than for Tony. But then the product for pets came out because of your dog's problems, right?
Yeah. So sadly, 4 years after my grandmother, I rescued 3 years after I rescued an older Cocker Spaniel, and that's a breed that's very prone to dental problems, and 10 years old and had severe neglect. They warned me at the shelter that her breath was horrendous, and it was like she smelled like death. And the gum disease had spread so much that it spread her into her bloodstream. So by the time I drove us both from central Washington state down to the Bay Area where I was living, I had to make an emergency vet visit to get 21 teeth pulled to save her life, because it had progressed that badly.
Wow. So is the formulation to the human product and the dog product different? Or is it just how you give it to them?
Yeah, it's very similar. So this is the dog product, but it's human grade. So it's just powder, 4 ingredients that steer what the bacteria eat. And the same combination, minus the L-arginine, which is the amino acid, is in our human product. But this formulation we're finding is really good. So it will wind up being in our human product going forward in the future.
Fantastic. And I want to just tell our listeners a little bit of why our two fields are so combined and so important for with collagen and dental care, is because if you remember the sailors that lost their teeth because they had no vitamin C, scurvy, it's actually because they couldn't build the extracellular matrix, because they couldn't build collagen due to the vitamin C deficiency, and that made them lose their teeth. So that's why collagen is really important too, to keep your gum in your in perfect health and keep your teeth well.
Mm-hmm. So. Very important, because we're finding that if you lose a tooth, you lose lifespan. Doesn't matter if you're a cat, a dog, or a human. So it's really important to keep that tissue intact. That's true.
And everyone knows that has a dog and had been going to the vet for dental care. It's really nothing, like the dogs are in pain. They normally have to get some sleepy stuff to survive that procedure. So you want to actually prevent that from happening. Now, when the dogs are on your product, how often do you recommend them to go for checkups? And do you see like a difference after they've been on it for a year? Do they actually have to go as much to the vet?
So we've launched in June, actually May of last year. So we're almost at our 1 year anniversary. It'll be next sometime. I know. And we've already gotten some reports of customers who previously were told by the vet that they needed a dental at their next visit. They go to their next visit anticipating they're going to need that dental, and they don't need it anymore. So that's exciting. So hopefully we can delay the anesthesia rounds just to preserve that for later in dog's life when they need more attention.
And I see already that we got a question, which is something that every dog parent probably asks you every time. If you have dental sticks to give to your pet, does that solve the issue?
No. And a lot of that is because of what's in dental treats. And we're in the background working on a more appropriate dental treat. It's not out in the market yet. But the 99% of dental treats on the market have carbohydrate as the first or second, or sometimes even the third ingredient, like all three. And it's the carbohydrates that are feeding the bacteria that are making things that cause inflammation and cause gum disease in dogs. And also it grows the harmful bacteria that you don't want growing anywhere in a dog's mouth or GI tract. And so we're taking a very different approach. We cut out any filler, which is why the container is so small, because most fillers are carbohydrates, and we're actually blocking the ability of the bacteria to eat carbohydrates. So they won't secrete acid and things that cause inflammation.
Yes, and to our listeners, that sugar, that's feeding your bad bacteria, and that's what is in all these fillers, carbohydrates. So that's another thing that we have in common. Happy Again is only active ingredients, the same thing. That's why a powder form is very common, because in all these chews and in the dental sticks, 80% are probably the fillers and this little of active ingredients. So I see you're not giving your dog any dental sticks then to solve that.
No, he doesn't.
Now we got another question. Where can we buy your product?
So you can go Google TEEF, or you can go to teefhealth.com. And you'll find us.
Perfect. What else do we want to talk about, Fernando? He also really got a better breath with your product. Like, bulldogs tend to not have very good breath, but now it's actually getting better. And my daughter took your human product, or takes it, with the orange taste, which I really can recommend for kids. They love it. It's like a little mint that you just take.
Yeah, so, my grandma picked the mint flavor, and my niece picked the orange flavor.
See, that's perfect. So how long does that little container you were showing us last?
Yes, this is a month's worth, believe it or not. It's highly potent. And it shows you, in all the active ingredients that we brush our teeth with, or, squish our mouth with, it's really a tiny amount that actually is doing the job. And so we have a little spoon we included in this bag, which we're working on the bag to get it a bigger size so that it doesn't, you have to struggle to get it out. But it's pretty easy. It's just that single scoop a day that a dog drinks throughout the day.
Drinks, that's a key point. How are you giving it to your pet? It's in the water.
It's in the water. It's the fastest, easiest way to get 360 degree whole mouth coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put it in the water. Now it's interesting because we have had reports where dogs drink more water. So you have to take your dog out more often, which is kind of a pain, but it's worth a cheaper dental bill from your vet.
Oh yeah, totally. There's another question. The website is called teefhealth.com. TEEF health.com.
Health. You got it. See, our goal is to kind of bring a fun, playful spirit to something super serious, which is life-threatening and not very sexy. Dental health is not a sexy thing.
Well, joint health is not either.
Right, joint isn't. Well, it's the same thing though. It's the same struggles because you've got the ligament, you've got the bone, same as the joints, and so we're in this together, sister.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I love this, that there are more and more scientists that actually start companies and develop the product themselves and not just go to the manufacturer and ask them for the latest formulation.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You know, like this has been going for 10 years. So we've spent 10 years researching and learning about it. And we've come to realize that, you know, not a lot of microbiology is known by dentists or veterinarians in the oral cavity. And so we're really pioneering what is known about dental and oral microbiology and who should be living in your mouth and who should not be living in your mouth.
But that's another myth, that many people think bacteria are bad, which probably just 10% of them are bad. And we have so many that are doing everything to keep us healthy. And they're really important to keep them with you.
Yeah. And that's the thing that frustrated me and scared me the most is, you know, I've been brushing my teeth and swishing mouthwash for years, not really paying attention to the ingredients and realizing how toxic they were and how harsh they are on the beneficial bacteria that you need. And, you know, in rheumatology, it was quite apparent those folks that had a lot of autoimmune diseases or chronic inflammatory diseases had a lot of bouts of infections before. So they'd had frequent antibiotic exposure, which wiped out all of their beneficial microbes. And you really need them because they keep your immune system in check. That's true.
And that's another, like if you on an antibiotic cure, after that, you should really focus on building up your stomach flora with good bacteria as well as your teeth. Yeah. Sure. Yep. So do we have any questions from the audience before we go into deep science? No one? Well, I'm sure that it's such a big topic that you are speaking a lot in public about that. So on both sides, human and animal side.
Yeah, I hate talking to you know, I'm a science geek, so I'm like an introvert, and it's very difficult for me to put myself out there. And it's even worse, like telling my story over and over again because you know, I can't speak too long about my grandmother because she was my best friend, and Tinsley and all these other dogs. Like we travel to shelters because we have a 5% give back program. So so we donate back to our partners, and going in and seeing mainly older dogs that are not being rescued because of the cost associated with their care, and their dental health is really poor. I mean, 75% of older dogs in shelters don't get rescued because of the cost. So we're working on really improve and helping the older dogs clean up their mouths, put them on a program so that they're more adoptable. That is kind of can tie into that story. We actually support the senior shelter dogs. We have a program that we partner with Grandpaws. We're bringing the non-adoptable shelter dogs together with senior prisoners to live with them, and we support them with the joint Happy Again to get them moving again. And we have great results, and they actually all got adopted from our first batch of dogs. So now that is some mission that we do the same thing. If we see the old dogs, they can hardly walk and they have the problems with the teeth. So it's just all aging, and the earlier you start to prevent those issues from happening, the easier it will be in the end. Like start as are you able to give the product to puppies? Yes, absolutely. My puppy's been on it since he was 4 months old. I mean, the ingredients are really easy. There's in here is just the majority of it, over half of it is a soluble fiber that actually blocks bacteria from eating sugars. And then the second biggest ingredient is an amino acid, and then vitamin B6. So those two work together as prebiotic to turn on beneficial behavior and good bacteria. So we're stopping them from eating sugar. We're turning on their ability to start breaking down protein, which is actually a better kind of metabolism to do in the mouth. And then there's a tiny bit of sodium bicarbonate, less than 3% of a dog's daily intake, just to neutralize the bacterial acids in the mouth. And that's it. Just those 4 ingredients.
That's fantastic. That's kind of really clean. And that is a question of the audience. If your dog has existing plug, does that help with your product?
Yeah. My dog sadly won't let me brush his teeth. We definitely recommend I mean, you can even use this to brush their teeth, but in the event that you can't gain access like my dog, because he bites and chews up every toothbrush, we put a single scoop in the water every day. Ideally we put the right amount of volume where he'll drink just about the whole scoopful in that water bowl throughout the day. And we give him chew things, so like plush toys or things like that, which do that scraping, mechanical scraping, because I can't brush his teeth. So we recommend that. And then we also recommend changing and cleaning that water bowl. So you guys, like, seriously, what's growing in dogs and humans' mouths is disgusting. It's like my colleague gagged the first time she came into our microbiology lab. And said,
yeah, well, that is just for us. We like it. Ooh, it grows.
Yeah. And so, like, if you knew what grew, it's crazy. It could kill you. And literally people have to get amputated limbs because they get a dog bite, right? Or something. And it's every time they lick your face, it's about millions of bacteria that get transferred, and fungus and viruses. So now more than ever, dental hygiene is really important.
So that was another question of the audience. How often do you have to change the water? And like, you put it in there in the morning, can you leave it throughout the day, or you're changing it and put new powder in?
Yep. So there's no preservative. So we recommend you clean the bowl every day, just once throughout the day. We in multi-dog homes or mixed species, so like cat and dog. It's safe for cats too, by the way. We're optimizing it for a cat microbiome, so we're working on the cat version. It'll be called Protectin 32 instead of Protectin 42, because our goal is to keep all 42 teeth in the dog's mouth. Same with cats, horses, and people. But they'll just take a scoop and put it in a bigger container, put it in the fridge, and then refill as the day goes on.
And you do it every day? Yes, I just
every day.
Every day. It's the same as Happy Again every day.
Every day. Yeah, you got it, because there's those bacteria don't stop, and in your case with collagen, you need it every day.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, that is funny, your story. We're doing a version for cats as well. Happy Again is good for cats as well. They're just more picky, so we're trying to package it in a better way for them to eat it. And horses, that was the start for me. My dressage horses, they were all unhappy again, to prevent that.
So smart.
So it's all the same, all safe ingredients. Can you mix your powder with food? No, you put it in the water always.
Yeah, because the way dogs eat, they just woof everything down. So I need this Protectin formula to be in the mouth as long as possible, and that's why we chose water. We are coming out with a treat that'll be a super fast dissolve, so it's the swallowing mechanism of a dog, which is tricky, and I've been working on it for a while. But basically, we'll come out with that soon, and it'll just dissolve on the tongue to release the ingredients to the bacteria.
Okay. There is another question. If your dog won't drink the water with the product, can you brush their teeth with it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually have a couple of small dogs right now that we're working on method development with them to get better results, because small dogs don't drink a lot of water.
Yeah, they worry about what about if your dog doesn't drink the whole bowl and you put it in there?
Yeah, ideally you put enough volume of water that's a day's worth, maybe slight overage. But for some of these raw feeders, they'll drink less than a cup of water, which has been very difficult to help those dogs. Because even bone marrow has sugar in it, right? Mm-hmm. Just trying to teach everybody that just because your dog is on a raw diet doesn't mean that they don't need daily dental help. And so, you know, we have some customers that are using syringes to squirt it in or drinking out of their hand. We're trying everything we can just to get this in their mouths.
Yeah, that's kind of the same with Happy Again for the picky eaters. Again, for the people that just tuned in, you can buy the TEEF product at teefhealth.com, TEEF health.com.
Yes, here, I've got, I don't know.
Oh, good. That. we posted it too in our Instagram, so you can find that product there. And how long, I think that's always interesting for people, like to get to do the research and become a scientist. How long did it take you to come up with that product and the research behind it that feeds into it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I went to the University of Iowa. Yeah. And I fell in love with bacteria. I joined a tuberculosis lab, and I thought it was so cool that something could kill you, which we're now aware of, that you can't even see. And how dangerous that is. And so it scared the crap out of me, and I wanted to learn more about them. And so I went to get my doctorate, and I studied how bacteria respond and resist stress. So, you know, these antibiotics and antiseptics that are on the market that they're designing around and becoming these super bugs, like I know how they do that. And so luckily I took that into consideration, and I don't, you know, they're not resistant to this because this is speaking the language that they fundamentally understand. So we're using a carrot and stick, but more of the carrot to get them to do what I want them to do. But I mean, this approach took, I mean, I flew to Wisconsin when my grandma had her stroke. She was the first, I was patient number 0. She was patient number 1, but I got our microbiome. And I biohacked it in my apartment in Redwood City, California, for a year, trying to find ingredients that would stop harmful plaque, would grow beneficial bacteria, would stop acid from being produced when you fed them sugar, and came up with it. And then we spent a whole 3 years after that really refining the dosage, and finally doing studies in people, and, you know, making a manufactured batch in the US and finding who could help me manufacture something, and then doing taste testing for the flavor with my grandmother because she had very sensitive mouth. And so it took years. And then Tins's problem, and I looked on the market, and I'm like, oh, these are just as scary of ingredients as the human market. So I got to work to try to save other dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always fascinating to hear, because the story of having developed a product doesn't stop from when you found the solution. You then have to challenge the packaging and how you're going to sell it and how you're going to explain it to consumers, which we're trying to help make science available, and why you should trust products like yours that are pure and there are no added ingredients, and they're human grade. And with Happy Again, I started to test it on humans first as well, because they could just talk to me how they feel if their joint pain was better. So it's kind of the same way. And then we gave it to the dogs. And I think it should always be like that. We should try the food first and see how we feel on it.
Yeah. So when you were going through your process, what did you feel were the big roadblocks? Well, because the joint and hip health is really a market that is dominated by glucosamine and chondroitin, which is a substance that doesn't really have scientific evidence on rebuilding cartilage or helping. So yes. It's fundamentally, I'm so happy you said that. I completely agree.
So I get that always like, well, but I take glucosamine. Well, yeah, it's great. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it maybe shows some benefits, but it doesn't regenerate and rebuild your connective tissue, your cartilage, which with aging, the biosynthesis of the cells in your cartilage is just slowing down, and it just breaks down, and the matrix is not there at one point. So that's what we're also saying, like, prevent it. Start early, because once there is no cartilage, there's nothing to rebuild. So it's really like start early when they're puppies. Start with less dosage because they're still actively growing, but it's just helping to form the perfect preventative and have strong cartilage. The same with the teeth. There's another question. How much does a package last? You said 1 month, right?
1 month, 30 servings.
Another question. If they're drinking it, how does it get to their teeth and gums completely?
Yeah. So the way that, so believe it or not, I have watched the slow motion mechanics of dogs drinking and cats drinking. And the way that they drink, actually, the water rolls around in their mouth quite well. And then there's enough in this scoopful every day that the bacteria will grab it. They have these molecular fishing rods, so to speak, and they'll go up and
they're gonna grab it.
They feed, you know, even in a biofilm, and deep down below the gum line, we're dramatically changing who lives in both dogs' mouths and human mouths subjectively. With, you know, within 5 days, we're clinically proving that we can change, which means they're eating it.
Yeah, but that kind of ties into, if a kid drinks a lot of lemonade and all these soft drinks, the sugar gets to the bad bacteria pretty easily too.
Yeah.
And they're just drinking. So
yeah,
the same thing. Like they grab the bad stuff as well. So it works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing faster than sugar to grow staph and strep and candida and aspergillus in E. coli. I mean, the amount of fecal bacteria in older adults' mouths and dogs is enough to make you sick.
Yeah.
So I have to wear a full gown and stuff when I'm working with these swabs, because it's so contaminated with salmonella and E. coli and stuff.
Wow. Yeah, but I mean, with I started in microbiology too, and I enjoyed seeing all these things growing, but the smell is not very pleasant. That
No.
the thing that you don't.
No, it's like bad dog breath times
10. So great, but it was great talking to you. Wrapping it up again, this product is the best thing you can do for your dog's dental health. Daily, 1 package lasts a month. You can buy it at teefhealth.com. We'll post that again too. And I'm looking forward to meet you in person again at our next pet convention.
Yeah, so, whenever that will be, probably 2021.
Yeah, probably. But we can keep talking over Zoom too.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So nice to have you, Emily.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.